Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ultimate Fashion History. Before I go on, please excuse the sound quality on this video. The USB cord for my microphone broke, so I have to use the microphone on the computer, which isn't as good. Anyway, I'm really excited because in this episode, I am debuting a new little series that will be running on our channel called That Dress. In each of these little episodes, we'll be looking at one of history's most iconic dresses and going behind the seams, see what I did there, behind the seams of each of these dresses and looking at the story behind them, how they were structured, and maybe some juicy gossip, as well as dispelling some myths about some of these iconic, groundbreaking dresses. And the first one to kick off our series is this dress. I know you all recognize it, of course, designed by Louie for Rita Hayworth. Oh, that dress. Didn't that dress cause a furore? Of course, Rita is wearing it as she performs the rather sexy Put the Blame on Mame in 1946's film noir Gilda, one of my favorite movies. As I mentioned, the dress was designed by Jean-Louis, who was Colombia's leading costume designer during this period. And Jean-Louis and Rita Hayworth had a wonderful working relationship and also a personal friendship. He designed the costumes for about 9 of her movies, and he really understood her. He understood that she was a very shy girl, and he really helped create the love goddess image. But I'll be talking more about that in a little while. Don't you love this picture here on the left? This is Jean-Louis giving Rita a hat that he brought back from Paris as a gift for her. Jean-Louis's budget for the costumes in Gilda was $60,000, which sounds like an awful lot of money, but no, this is 1940s $60,000, which today translates as $774,000, nearly $1 million for this wardrobe. But you know, that was nothing too shocking. How many movies did Lana Turner make that were always tagged with the promise of $1 million wardrobe? Well, anyway, I don't know how much of that $774,000 Jean-Louis actually spent, but my goodness, it was money very well spent, especially in terms of that dress. So let's break it all down. Jean-Louis drew inspiration for the dress from this Portrait of Madame X by John Singer Sargent, 1884. Isn't it gorgeous? Quite honestly, I think I even prefer it to the beautiful gown he designed for his friend Rita Hayworth. He performed a feat of incredible engineering with this dress. You may remember during this scene in Gilda, Rita has had a few drinks and she is performing Put the Blame on Mame and dancing in an extremely wild and sexy way. And of course, the danger was that she was going to pop out of this beautiful black satin dress. So a feat of engineering had to be performed to make sure that Rita could dance as wildly as she wanted to without a wardrobe malfunction. So the dress has 3 boned panels. This, of course, supported Rita's breasts, but also gave the bodice a very firm structure. But then the really clever thing that Jean-Louis did, he had a ring of plastic molded to correspond with the curves of Rita's lower chest, and had that ring of molded plastic sewn into the top of the dress so that there was no danger of her popping out. Of course, Rita Hayworth's legs were famous and really one of her main attributes, and Jean-Louis shows them off to wonderful effect with that deep slit in the skirt. Now, here's a nifty factoid. It had only been a few months since Rita had had her daughter, Rebecca, with Orson Welles, and she still had a little bit of a baby bump in her tummy. And so what Jean-Louis did, he put this huge bow just to the side on the waist and ruched the fabric, the satin, across to form this enormous bow. Here's a better picture of the bow, and you can see it does a wonderful job of disguising that little baby bump. And there she is, and you can see how wild she is. And she's pulling off her gloves. And I want to mention the gloves. They were extremely difficult to make, evidently, because they too were made out of black satin. And traditionally during this era, gloves were made out of far more elastic material. These were not, and evidently it took a lot of time and tremendous craftsmanship to create these gloves, and the whole outfit together is just so perfect and so iconic, isn't it? Iconic, yes, but not groundbreaking. Now, you may have read, because I certainly have many, many times, that this was the first strapless gown. Of course it wasn't. I have read that on numerous occasions, and I'm afraid I have even read it in some famous, well-known and well-respected fashion magazines. We hate it when people get things wrong, don't we? Even though I know I get things wrong constantly. Okay, the strapless dress in terms of the 20th century. Of course, there were strapless things in ancient Greece and Egypt, but let's just stick with the 20th century. The designer Mame claimed that he invented the strapless dress in 1934. In 1938, Life magazine claimed that it was invented in the 1937 fashion season. Here, in fact, we have the socialite Brenda Frazier. Here she is in 1938 in a strapless gown, but I can go back even further. This is actress Libby Holman in 1930, I believe, wearing a strapless gown. Look at this. This is McCall's from the 30s, strapless gowns. And I can go back even further. This is the actress Greta Nissen in 1925 in a strapless gown. So strapless was nothing new by the time that Jean-Louis designed this gown, but it is this gown, this black satin strapless gown, that has really etched itself on our cultural fashion imagination, hasn't it? And there are so many reasons for that. One of them, of course, is Rita herself, the way she wore it. And of course, there was an image of Rita Hayworth wearing this very gown taped to the first atomic bomb that was dropped post-war in an atomic test in the Pacific, I believe. And so already, so soon, we can see that this dress was going to go down in history. Of course, this dress was reimagined for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and of course Jessica Rabbit here was doing her own little take on Gilda. And this black satin strapless dress, it is so significant. It is an instant signifier of sultry and sexy, and oh my goodness, haven't we seen versions of it on the red carpet time and time again? And will continue to. But let's go back to 1946 for a second, when Gilda debuted and Diana Vreeland saw this dress. She sent Jean-Louis a telegram with one word on it: superb. Can't you just hear her saying that? And it was superb. I want to now talk a little bit about Jean-Louis's relationship with Rita Hayworth. I think sometimes there are designers whose work for a particular artist really goes forth to creating the persona and the legend. And I think this is definitely true in the case of Jean-Louis and Rita Hayworth. As I mentioned, they were great friends in real life, and he understood her. When we think of Rita Hayworth, don't we think of her as this incredibly statuesque, elegant, beautiful, talented, sexy, utterly divine woman, which of course she was? And so much of this confidence that she portrays on screen, she attributes to Jean-Louis and the gorgeous gowns he created for her. In a way, he created this persona as much as she did, because of course, the sexy, sultry Rita Hayworth of the silver screen was not the Rita Hayworth of private life. She was an incredibly shy girl who didn't rate her looks, didn't rate her talent. It's so crazy, isn't it? But she really didn't. And in her personal life, she preferred to knock around in jeans and sweaters and casual, comfortable clothing. And yet, when she put on a Jean Louis gown, it transformed her into the love goddess. So, I really hope you enjoyed this first episode of our new little series, That Dress. It's so nerdy, isn't it? You know we're all fashion nerds, so we love this kind of stuff. If you have any ideas for an episode of That Dress or any of the videos in our various series, Fave Film Fashion, 20th Century Style Icons, Indigenous Clothing, all of that, drop me a line at my website, amandahalley.com. Join our Facebook group if you haven't already. We always have loads of fun over there. And check out our publishing company, Dean Street Press, for all of your classic vintage reading needs. I'm going to put links to everything below. Thanks ever so much for watching, and my new USB cord has been ordered from Amazon, so I will be back on my good microphone before too long. Have a wonderful day, and keep putting the blame on Mame.